I'm Tom Gualtieri.
I'm David Sisco.
I'm Words.
I'm Music.
David and I met at the BMI Lehman Engel Musical Theater Workshop back in 2003, and we've been writing together ever since. And even back then, we were frustrated by the lack of diversity on Broadway. So we pledged to each other that we would be committed to what was then called multi-ethnic casting.
Today, that idea has expanded beyond ethnicity to include artists from more communities than we can list here. Transgender, disabled, body positive, gender fluid, everyone you can or can't imagine. We want to create new work for artists from communities that haven't often seen themselves in the center of the story.
Draw the Circle Wide is our way of doing that while having important conversations about diversity and representation in the process. We interview artists from all walks of life, then we write a song just for them, based on their interview.
Our first guest is Ali Stroker, who was most recently seen as Ado Annie in the Broadway revival of Oklahoma. She made history as the first actress who uses a wheelchair to appear on a Broadway stage and to win a Tony Award. Like any great artist, her talent transcends labels and limitations. She brought insight, generosity, and a no-nonsense attitude to her interview.
I was introduced to theater by my neighbor at the Jersey Shore. She had just come home from Stage Door and she wanted to direct a production of Annie, and she cast me as Annie, and that was like it. We worked on it all summer. Something really special happened, I think, because I was able to, in my own way, turn, like sort of flip on its head this feeling of the kind of attention that I was getting. I was used to getting a lot of attention out in the real world because of my chair. And when I was doing theater and when I was on stage, I was getting a different kind of attention, and that attention felt powerful. When I was doing Spring Awakening, I was doing some interviews and I was talking a little bit more about like wanting to play around with the word differently abled because I felt like it was empowering. But then what I would run into is people not knowing what it meant. And I felt like for my purposes, and also asking myself, like, what about the label disabled am I uncomfortable with? And it comes down to like being a kid and being afraid of like what that would mean. And so now as I've gotten older and I feel a part of the disabled community, I have pride around using the label more.
What we want to do is create a character that Ali can play who happens to be disabled. And maybe that feeds into the problem of the song, and maybe it doesn't. We don't know yet, right?
Yeah.
So it's not autobiographical. It's a fiction.
Yeah, we're creating like a musical scene for her, right?
I was hurt when I was 2, so like all of my memory, I have been in a chair. And I have this, and a lot of my friends with disabilities have this relationship to independence. It's very, very tricky because there are many parts of my life that I need help with. But the feeling of freedom and being independent is so exhilarating to me. And one of the ways that I feel completely independent and free is when I sing, because I don't have any limitations on my voice.
Have you ever thought, oh my God, that should be a song, or oh, I want to sing about this?
Sometimes when things are exactly on the nose around me, they can sometimes feel a little corny.
All of us.
Because it's like, right, because it's like, oh, like she's so inspirational. And like, I'll be honest, like those words have lost their meaning because, you know, people say it to me when I'm at the grocery store buying dinner, like buying groceries, like, oh my God, you're so inspirational. And to them in that moment, like maybe I am, and maybe that is something that's helpful. But so many people say it all the time, and we've put this like inspirational glaze over disability because it is the other. Like, have you ever been in a situation with somebody who has an emotional or an intellectual disability and they are making sounds or like speaking really loudly and like nobody knows what to do, nobody knows what to say, everyone's being tolerant, but nobody really wants to look. They all kind of want to, you know, and, you know, it's like part of that discomfort, I think, is an important moment, like for our humanity, that like people are made like this too.
You had this idea that we thought we should put like Allie in like the grocery store, like buying chips. And what if she's having just like a really shitty day and the neighbor comes up to her and is like, "You're so inspirational." And Allie's like, "Thank you," like trying really hard to be nice to her.
Sold.
Great.
I love that.
So I want to just take that idea and run.
Write it. Awesome, thanks.
I have like a naturally very positive and good disposition, but I think part of that comes with not wanting to be any more of like a problem. And I think that that was really scary, and that was something that like becoming a little bit older and being a woman like has it's so nice to be 31 and not 21 in that like I don't feel like a problem anymore for people.
Thank you. That's lovely to hear. All the time. Yes, I hear it all the time. No, it never gets old, except on occasion. But I'm always happy to hear that I'm your inspiration. Occasion inspiration are in a great, that's not really a rhyme, so I'll fix that, but that's kind of where I'm thinking, and then we would get into the song proper from that.
I love that.
So I've been struggling with this lyric like for like a month.
Yeah.
More than a month. And we talked about the other idea that we had, and this idea that I am sharing with you now, I was thinking about how women are never allowed to express their anger. When they express their anger, they are told that they're too emotional, that they're, whatever, right? And now we have a woman in a wheelchair. Now, this woman's really got to be nice because, she's othered by everyone. So this character is somebody who spends her days trying to be nice. But I think it will be really fun for an actress to play this frustration and anger that she doesn't get to express, in daily life. What do nice people think in their heads when they're feeling upset?
I don't know. I'm not a nice person.
You're not a nice person at all. It's like,
What is your perception of how your success has been impactful in the Broadway community?
Well, I think first and foremost, just exposure. Like I was the first person an actor in a wheelchair to be on Broadway. And I think that like that exposure is just so important for the public to see that people with disabilities can work at the highest level in theater. I can play Ado Annie, and because that character never talks about a disability through the show doesn't mean that that's not me.
Right.
And that to me is refreshing, and it also opens up so many doors to so many different possibilities. And that is something that I think is so important when reviving work, is that we allow it to speak to like where we are now.
Yes.
Like I have people around me be like, "Allie, like you're so unique. Like people are not like this." And I just sometimes don't think that people have had the opportunity to find their best self because they haven't been put in a position where they had a choice.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's always been a choice. Like to wake up pissed or wake up happy. A huge part of, I think, part of why I can feel and think these things is because I have a passion and I have this other thing. Like, I don't just live to tell my story about being in a chair and to like go to PT and try to get better. Like, when people are like, I hope you get better, I'm like, I am better. Like, I am the best version of myself at this point.
Thinking, David.
So I have two like musical ideas that are kind of interrelated.
Okay.
So the first is kind of like this kind of maniacal, like, which is kind of like her inner turmoil about seeing her neighbor, and then this like, where she's actually describing the neighbor. That's going to be like, I think, more of the chorus, that type of thing.
I love it.
I'm glad.
If you had one action item, one proactive thing that you want people who are watching this video to take, what would it be?
Using the language around disability, asking people what their story is instead of asking people what's wrong with them.
Mm.
That's what I say, like when I speak to kids too, that like there's a lot of curiosity around disability and that's totally fine. But asking somebody what's wrong with them, I've heard that so many times that then you begin to think, is there something wrong with me? And there isn't. It's just I have a different story than you. And also when you ask, and this is for adults too, when you ask somebody what their story is, you then allow them to share what they want to share, instead of putting somebody on the spot to tell them why they're, or like, why are you in a wheelchair? It's like, I don't want to tell you, I don't know you. That's so personal. It's so inappropriate. But like you asked me what my story is, like I'm going to reveal to you everything that I want to tell you, you know. The language handicap is now, this is just like a very simple, easy, but like that term is used for like things like a bathroom or parking or an entrance, but we don't use the term handicap in reference to people. And the other thing that people can get kind of like sensitive about, I don't feel that sensitive about it, but they think it's important to say a person with a disability instead of a disabled person.
We want to thank Allie for giving us the privilege of writing for her, and you'll hear Allie singing her new song in a separate video. So, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get an announcement.
If you would like to find out more about becoming an ally, please see the resources in the description below this video.
With Draw the Circle Wide, we are committed to shining a spotlight on diversity and representation.
And we hope this webisode has encouraged you to draw the circle wide in your own life.